to Ask a Puppy Trainer Show. This is where we answer all of your questions about puppyhood. I'm Bethany.
And I'm Sparky from the Puppy Academy.
If you have a puppy question you need help with, join us live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Instagram or TikTok at the Puppy Academy.
This is where we tackle your toughest training challenges and guide new puppy parents on how to make puppyhood easy.
If you're ready for more in-depth puppy help right now, check out our online school at thepuppyacademy.com to have us personally guide you through every step of puppyhood and in raising a happy, well-mannered pup.
We're excited you're here. And now, let's get to the show.
Hello, welcome everyone. We've got Georgia here. She's the star of Ask a Puppy Trainer Show.
She's cleaned out my nose a few times. I think we're good to go.
Oh, she's so sweet. She's
very sweet.
Obviously an older puppy.
She's one of our prairie dogs. She'll stay here as long as she can.
This is episode number 152, and you guys, you can ask your questions in the comments below. You lost the puppy.
She ran quick too. They never leave.
You've never lost a puppy before.
Georgia, you're supposed to love me.
Georgia. So you guys can ask your questions in the comments below, or you can direct message us on Instagram, TikTok, comment on YouTube. We've got all these platforms going that we'll get to your question, where we'll get to your question if we can. All right, you want to dive in with some of these?
I want to start with this one.
Okay.
I feel like this is a good one for a real young puppy.
Okay.
This is from Courtney Wilson. I recognize that name. Thank you for coming back. We welcome you. We are waking up 3 times a night for a 9-week-old puppy to pee and poop. If we don't take him out, he will do it in the crate.
So three times a night for a 9-week-old
puppy. So I feel like 3 times might be a bit excessive. So let's see what we're doing outside of the actual sleeping routine. When is the last time that we give water? When do we feed our meals? If we're giving water at 8 p.m., you're probably going to have to wake up in about 3-4 hours to take that puppy out for potty. Mm-hmm. Maybe cut off your last opportunity for water at 6 p.m. What would you say for eating? 5 p.m.?
Yeah, eating's always better a little earlier, and if you feed them, first thing in the morning, like work with them a little bit. We do the relationship game in our online program where you're half asleep and you're able to just take handfuls of kibble and just do the relationship game bright and early. But the big thing would be the water. 3 hours before bed, and unless you're if your puppy's on the calmer side, you might be able to do 4 hours and then give them like a piece of ice or something to kind of play with in the bowl if you think they're thirsty. One
more potty right before you go to bed. Not them going in the crate. You guys as humans.
Yeah.
10:45 rolls around, you're getting ready to go to bed. At 10:59, you're going to be in bed by 11. Your puppy gets one more potty.
Yep.
And from that point, if it's a 9-week-old, I assume hopefully you're doing some daytime crating because they don't really know how to hold their bladder in the crate for more than a few hours, especially if you're not crating yet during the daytime. And then you could probably get maybe at night. I feel like puppies really go into hibernation mode, just like we do. You might wake up at 2 a.m. to go use the restroom. Your puppies might need it too. Try it. See how long they can go. They wake up at 1 a.m., give them a few minutes of whining, see if they self-soothe, see if they go back to sleep, make sure your crate is covered so they're not seeing you.
Yep.
If you wake up, that might wake them up as well. These are the things that I think about, because if they wake up at 2 a.m. and after 5 minutes of whining, they go back to sleep, you probably got another hour and a half, 2 hours out of them, or maybe even overnight till 6 a.m. or so. But I would say 5 to 6 hours whole time for that age.
I feel the same way. I'm going to put a however on it though, because I had a small breed puppy that also had a little bit of crate anxiety, even if I was right there in the room. She ended up having full-blown separation anxiety, but when I was right there with her, it was just mild crate anxiety. And so she would have to go 3 times a night. And we did that for a few weeks before I could build her up. And that was just a combination of her kind of being uppity as well as being such a small breed dog. And so we don't know what your breed is, but that could be a factor too. And if it is, give it another 3 to 4 days of 3 times a night and then try to push it to 2 times a night. But you'll probably be living in the 2 times a night for a few weeks before you can go to 1. If it's a small breed dog, my personal opinion.
And also crate during the daytime. That's a big one for us. Daytime crating is going to get them more in a rhythm. So then when they go in the crate at night, they don't feel that crate anxiety and the stress. They're more relaxed because they're used to it throughout the day.
Ooh, I will say if you got a rescue dog and they spayed your rescue dog at 7 weeks old, then that's a whole different can of worms. Okay.
Yep, that's why you're running into it too, probably.
Yeah. Kimberly says, can you get a puppy and have a full-time out-of-the-house job, 8 to 5? What would a schedule look like?
Well, a lot of people do that.
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. There's lots of ways to do it.
Hundreds of thousands of people in the city that still make that work. I think that in the city, there's a lot of things that make it easier to do that. Like you can hire a rover to come in once or twice a day.
Yep.
I think they charge like $10-15 each time.
To do potty breaks.
And it's literally 5 minutes each time.
And like a little, potty break and like a few minutes of tug if they have time. Like they'll do, you said 5 minutes? I guess that's Rover. Forever ago used to have a dog sitting company and walking. And we would do 15-minute potty breaks, which included a little bit of play.
Was it more than one dog or?
What do you mean?
Just one dog or more than one dog? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so if you can do that, I'm sure Rover's like all the rage now, it's probably less expensive, then that's definitely the way to go. If you can't do that and you still decide to get a dog like this, you've really got to look at the breed. That's super important. Do you have other dogs that are also kind of keeping your puppy company? And usually we want to make sure you go the playpen route, like playpen set up in the garage, or you have an outdoor dog. Like there's a lot of things that you can do to make that work in different environments, but you have to just really think of what is the time you're putting in, the quality time when you get home, when you get home with the dog. And if you do get some Australian Shepherd and you decide to try to do the playpen scenario in the garage and you've got another dog in there hanging out with them during the day and you're gone and you only have like a friend to just check in on your puppy sometimes, what if you get behavioral issues? How are you going to resolve that if it's an indoor dog and not an outdoor dog? So there's just a lot of things that you have to think about when it comes to not having the resources to have an easy situation where people are coming and letting your dog out during the day that you have to take into consideration.
I have a friend that when he gets his new dogs, he takes off a week from work, like really plans it out months ahead of time, and he spends the first week really training his dog and building relationship. So he's crate training during the daytime, getting it ready for the weekends when he is going to be home Monday through Friday, and that seems to work pretty well for him. So it's like a hardcore, it's almost like a board and train, but he's doing it himself. He is a dog trainer, by the way, so that gives you a bit more context. For a normal person, it would probably take 1 to 2 weeks to build the same relationship that he's building.
Yeah, that reminds me of two things. One is we recommend not leaving a puppy alone for more than 4-hour increments. Not for potty training. Potty training is actually less than that when you first get a new puppy, but just to make sure the puppy's being checked on every 4 hours. And I don't just mean through a camera, like they're getting some interaction every 4 hours. And something I want you guys to remember that live in more rural areas is you're more connected to your community. You've got family living around, and usually what we come across in those situations, those more secluded suburban or rural neighborhoods, is you're having a friend or a grandma or someone come and check on the puppy, which is perfectly fine too. You just need to do more of a playpen scenario, or I hate to say it, but some sort of apartment type potty.
Oh, the puppy apartment.
Potty crate situation.
They're only like $3,000.
Because they need a way to, well, you can make your own though. You can see what they look like and make your own. So they can go and potty in a different area. You don't want to be crating them all day long when someone's just coming by to check on your puppy. That's really important. Your potty training will take forever if you can do it at all.
And if you are going to do the playpen setup, one thing that Bethany told me about years ago is they used to sell these rubber mats and they were like really, really expensive. Amazon now has a rubber mat that's a decent thickness for about $50-$60, and it's about a 5x5 mat, like 5x5 square. The playpen goes right over it, and it goes outside the edges of the playpen by a little bit, so you can put your potty pads down. If they move one or they're just potty pad chewers and you can't lay down potty pads, well, at least on the mat, it's not going to ruin your floor if they do have an accident. So there's just an extra little additive for you.
All right, help. Extra help.
It started with help? Oh,
Morgan,
I was helping.
You
yes,
were helping, yeah.
I was trying to.
Morgan Williams says, my husband and I are crazy and are getting a puppy 4 months before I'm due with our first baby. I plan on training the puppy as far as I can, but how would you introduce the puppy to the baby? Oh, that's
Why?
I know, that's not the question I thought it was. Okay, I thought you were asking, should you get a puppy? So you're already getting a puppy. All right, so you...
Oh, you thought she was asking us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so now I'm sad. But okay, so you're getting a puppy. You don't, because of, no, not don't get a puppy. We're too far gone for that.
Context.
Sorry, context. Puppy introduced to a baby, you don't in the traditional way, because the baby's going to get scratched and nipped. They have sharp, I don't know if you've had a puppy before, but they have needle teeth, and that will go, I'm an 9-month-old right now. I mean, that's going to go right through the baby, and the scratch, and it's not fun, and
paper thin skin.
It's just very challenging. What you want to do is desensitize the puppy to the baby sounds. There's actually so much you need to do. We can only talk about so much, but one of the things you can do is on a daily basis, while your puppy is doing their downtime in crate, you're gonna play very low level baby sounds, not just crying, but laughing, giggling.
Dozens of playlists on YouTube.
Screaming.
You'll find them, trust us.
I mean, within a few months, like, you're gonna get like screams out of your kid. Like, not even like crying, they just go ah! Like that all the time.
And the dog is
yeah, yes.
on edge all the time.
Yes, I have 4 dogs, and yes. And so you want to go ahead and desensitize that as much as you can. You start by playing it at a low level in crate. I don't want to upset your puppy in crate, because your puppy is also a baby, and you're supposed to be teaching it all about the world and expectations in the world. So we don't want to overwhelm. So in crate, I'd say low level. But as I'm doing a program, because I'm guessing you're in some sort of local program for dog training or an online program. We have an online school. And so you're doing something that has to do with a structured program to raise this puppy. So whatever routines you're being given to like train your puppy every day, then you're going to start playing the sounds a little louder and a little lower and keeping your puppy food engaged. So you're going to desensitize all of that stuff. Do not, in my opinion, and I think you can agree, even though you don't do this stuff as often.
We're talking baby stuff, so I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one.
Is I wouldn't like take the blanket that the baby's gonna be in and let the puppy be right on top. What's happening?
Eating my mic. Did she get it?
No.
You hear it cut off? Ricky, don't give me that look.
So,
don't give me that look.
okay,
She did it
so
already.
let me continue. So anyway, I wouldn't let the puppy like put their face right in the blanket, because then they're gonna think they can do that right to the baby. And so I would have baby stuff around and teach the puppy redirection to other things. So it's like, okay, there's a baby blanket, there's a spit rag right there that maybe I'll put some formula on it or something that smells like it, and I'm gonna redirect the puppy away. No, puppy, come place. And so you're doing a lot of teaching boundaries and redirection. When the baby actually comes, see, you're 4 months before your due date. Every woman is so different after they have a baby. We have had women that had an amazing birth, and they have shown up for lessons a few weeks after their baby's been born, and they're working their puppy at home every few days with the husband helping while having a newborn.
It's wild.
It's wild. I'll honestly say that that's not what we see most of the time. It certainly wasn't my experience. I was very much needed to heal and was just about baby. And I needed my husband to fully take care of the dogs and not have to deal with that at all. And so it will depend very much on your personal experience, but be prepared for that. Who's in charge of the dog when you have the baby? Like, what's the schedule going to be, the rules going to be when you're focusing on just feeding and nurturing your baby and healing yourself? That's going to be really important, where if that puppy is out at the same time as your baby, they're in a crate in the living room, and they've already been crate trained, so they can hang out in the living room in a crate. If they're good in a playpen, maybe, but that elicits a lot of excitement, and you're going to be potentially tired and trying to focus on baby noises, and nobody's going to be there to help the puppy to calm down unless your husband is right there with the puppy on leash, helping them work through all their emotions and expectations. Otherwise, in a crate, and if that's too much, they're crated in the bedroom more often for a little while. It'll be fine. Like, you'll get to the point where they can be out more. And then you're focusing on existence. Can the puppy go to place and have a bone, focus on food work, while the baby's just around? And so you really want respect first. And that is what I would focus on. Puppies, dogs have amazing sniffer. They can walk into a room of 20 people and not sniff anybody directly and just know who's scared, who's anxious, who's nervous, who had asparagus. Like, they can tell all of those things. So they do not need to be right up on your baby to check them out. And so what's going to happen, it's a puppy, is every now and then the puppy's going to move in for a big sniff, and you're just going to go, no, out, and start teaching them out, move away, place. Out, which means move away, place. And so that way, when they do invade your baby's space, you can teach them to move away. So that way, when the baby gets a little older and the puppy gets really excited and it's about to jump on your baby, no, out, place. And then whenever the puppy's calm and the baby's calm, they can be together. And then when you see excitement rising, out, place. But you have to start with the boundaries first, the respect first. And then the rest is so easy, I can't even tell you. So, all right.
I actually have a question.
Go ahead.
For you.
Go ahead.
For them. So, when a baby is born, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like a 2-3 week intense process of like getting used to the baby.
For me, it was
You're going to hear a lot of
longer.
what's going to sound like dog training terms. Babies are not my specialty, so I'm going to try
They're
my
not?
best. I know. You're building relationship with your baby, right? Yeah. And I find that
Sorry,
as
I'm still in the giggly phase. Yes, you are.
Live it. Live it. Enjoy it. But I find that as a dog trainer, you probably could say, hey, Chris, that's her husband, by the way. You're setting him up for success by telling him exactly what he's going to need to do to take over every ounce of the training for that 2-3 weeks while you're doing baby mode.
Yep.
So what if not everyone can do that? I always think about that's probably the hardest time of having a baby is then the fact that your dog is getting so left behind while you're really focusing on baby. What do you think about if it's in the cards, if it's affordable, board and train for the first couple weeks of a baby being born? Setting that up.
Or just boarding.
Yeah, or boarding.
Or boarding in general.
I'm just thinking at least with a board and train, you're going to get more training for the dog. So by the time they come back, they're coming back better than they were before. And then they're coming to a brand new home virtually. Brand new situation.
From a financial perspective, if you have the money, that's a great idea. The husband's going to be more involved in the training when the puppy gets home from a board and train. Yeah. So there is that. I have absolutely had many clients who have had their dogs stay at a family member's for 2 weeks. You know, and things like that. So that can be really beneficial if it becomes too much, too overwhelming. I think one of the reasons he's mentioning that is he's trying to give you some potential outs to think about in case things get a little rough. I mean, I thought I was going to be home in 2 days and I was in the hospital for a week, you know. And so things like that can happen that can really throw you. And then, other the bonding stuff that he mentioned, I didn't want my dogs anywhere around because we're pretty stressed, but also really, really happy.
TikTok and Instagram, don't let the apps convince you that doggies are supposed to meet babies right when they're born. You're going to have dogs that are really, really well with babies.
Yeah.
And you're going to have the mass majority that want to put a paw on their face because that's how they play with puppies. Yep. And your baby's about the size of a young puppy. And
then when they're infants is actually when a lot of dogs, they'll be anxious, but they'll do the best because the baby's not moving yet. And then you didn't put the boundaries in place. Now the baby starts to move and you have real issues. But for me, when I'm trying to feed my baby and check on my baby and all those things, and the dogs would come up to me and get out of place, my husband immediately was just like, no, out. And I didn't even have to half the time, which was really, really nice. And then we made a barrier too. So we got a playpen so I could be on the ground with my baby, and my dogs are well trained, but I didn't want to have to be like, get out of my, out. I didn't want to have to do that all the time.
You want to manage your baby, not the puppies.
Yeah, I wanted to just focus. And now it's no big deal. Now I can multitask and it's great. But in those early, 1 to 2 months, I didn't want to have to do that. So I just got a playpen for my living room, and we'd go into the playpen and the dogs would stare in at us. And so it was just so much easier. So there's lots of tips and tricks you can do, but I'm glad he mentioned that, because come to think of it, I have had a lot of clients that have sent a dog to me for training, gone to some sort of daycare environment, or had a family member keep the dog for just a little window as everybody's settling in at home.
We have a client here now who's actually doing training with us that knew how hard it would be to have a German Shepherd puppy when their baby's born. So the baby was going to be born in a few months. They're doing our program, and almost about as where the dog is going to graduate, she's going to be having her baby very soon after that. So that was their mental prep to make sure the dog was good they were trained up enough, and we taught a lot of existence work, down, stay on place duration, in the living room where the baby's going to be. That was a huge emphasis. So if you do a program, you do a training program, let them know what you're going to do. And frankly, if you're going to do a program, try to get a woman who has some kind of maternal instinct so they can at least relate the dog's training to what you're going to be doing with your baby and your dog.
Because if there's anything I'm not going to do, I'm not going to be holding my baby and trying to, emit that nurturing that they need. And then, no, back off, because I can't do anything. So I have to have a firmer voice to get my dog's attention. And now the baby does this. Because I always thought that that's what I would do. Like, honest to God, I'm just like, one part of my energy will go that way, and then I'll have this energy this way. But if you're vocal, that doesn't work. It startles infants. Anyway, I could talk about this all day. We'll move on. But hopefully that just gives you some things to think about.
There's another one I wanted to go over.
Okay, I'm going to look at it my Instagram, not my Instagram. Let's see here. I'm going to backtrack, okay? Judy Wainwright. That's a cool name. Judy Wainwright, realtor.
I like that.
That's good.
That's a good
All right.
name.
How do I get my 6-month-old puppy to sleep in? She barks and cries to get up between 5 and 5:30. Ooh, okay. 5 and 5:30, that is pretty early. Come on. 7 a.m. is not sleeping
6:37 is pretty nice.
Come on, puppy.
Maybe
Come
we
on.
can get you there.
Maybe.
Let's see.
Maybe.
Do we have any more details?
No, that's it. 6-month-old puppy, sleep in, barks and cries to get up between 5:30.
I hope she's still here, because then we can talk back with her.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you can always respond if you're still on here, but
I'd be curious when you're going to bed.
Yeah.
You as the human, when is their final potty break? When are they going into the crate? These are all the things I think about. If
it's 9:30, 10, it's not going to happen.
No. If you're on a good crate schedule and they go in the crate at 8:30 and they're doing an hour and a half in the crate, 30 minutes out of the crate or hour out of the crate, I'll just make sure I get one more potty at 10 p.m. Right before I go to bed. And I don't know time you wake up either, but if you're going to wake up at 7 a.m., I assume you probably go to bed around 11 p.m., something around there. That's your final potty right before you go to bed. And give this a shot. I mean, I'm going to go into like Zen mode. Like, what's the dog feeling when it wakes up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.? It's just awake. Its circadian rhythm ended and it doesn't know what else to do. Try just saying no. just say no and see what happens. And honestly, I had a Samoan guy like 7-8 years ago who was like, Sparky, I'm not getting out of bed at 5 a.m. He was a big guy. I get it. I understand. And he was like, I did the chancla. I was like, what the heck's a chancla? He was like, I took a sandal and I threw it across the room. Most of the time it never hit the crate, but it kind of bounced off the floor and tapped the crate. And the dog was like, yeah, we're cool, man. We're good. Backed off and stayed.
Another hour. There you go.
Yeah, maybe another hour. And I think he only got like 30 or 40 minutes out of it. But that went from 5:30 to 6:15. And he was good with that. Yeah. As the dog got older and more mature, its sleep cycle changed, though. Because the man wasn't letting the dog out anymore at that 5:30 time. Or was trying not to. Yeah. And eventually the dog started staying asleep a little bit longer. It's just maturity, age.
Yeah, you have to find out if it's just habit or if they really need to go out. And how you figure that out is you just wait and ignore them. Say no to some degree that can settle them down. Maybe you tap the crate if it's right next to your bed. No, and you're just tapping with your hand firmly. See if the dog is sensitive and just settles right down for another 30 minutes to an hour. And then if they have an accident, then you know that no, you can't stretch that unless you get up earlier and then go back to bed, or maybe change the water schedule, or not go to bed so late. Like, you have to play around with what's going to work for your puppy. You could, if you're not already, you could try covering the crate, and because if they're seeing any light come in around that 5:36 mark, I think is when it is right now where we are. And like you said, that circadian rhythm, they wake up and there's not a ton you can do. Try to cover the crate and keep it dark for a while. It's like what I'm trying to do for my kid.
We haven't mentioned yet, so I'm going to mention it. Normally we have like 30 crate questions. Crate questions, where I mention how much water a dog should be getting.
Yeah.
The standard measurement that if you look up in 9 out of 10 places, it's going to say this number. It's a half cup of water every 30 pounds of body weight every 2 to 3 hours. So obviously nighttime, you're not going off to every 2 to 3 hours. But if you're giving this large bowl of water that your dog's drinking for 25, 30 seconds out of this large bowl.
It's going to be dancing.
Yeah. They go potty in an hour and a half, but they got enough to fill 4 bladders of a small dog. That means they're going to go 2 more times at night. So maybe cut your measurement in half and see if you get a little bit longer. And if you do, cut it in half again. And if you wake up the next morning and their mouth is a little bit dry, that means you're not giving enough. So you're looking for white gums right above the teeth or dry, bone-dry gums. If you get any of that, they need a little bit more water. So you're not withholding, you're just giving a little bit less to see how much they actually need.
Especially right before bed, they're usually fine. Okay, Austin the Golden says, for separation training, say leaving the house for 3 hours, is a pen better or a crate if they're not ready for a nap? Crate. Crate. I don't have an age, but crate.
Yeah, 100% crate.
Crate.
If you have separation anxiety.
No. For separation training.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I thought I said.
But he's right. Like either way, it would be crate. Go crate. Okay. I chicks. Okay.
Hey, chick.
8-month-old will stay in crate from 10 to 10:30 till 7, sometimes 8 a.m. Is that normal? He's just good at holding him. You're all good.
Awesome. Yeah, 10 hours. That's amazing.
The lady that just asked us a question would like to trade.
Yeah. Or get some tips. Maybe she wants to hire you over us.
Marissa, yeah, so much of it is genetics.
Yeah, it really is.
Marissa says, we have a bell for our 11-week-old to ring to go out to potty. Yeah, potty bell. But now she's ringing the bell to get out of the pen. Go ahead, Sparky, you got anything to say about that?
Oh, I don't know if I can be nice about it.
Sparky's like, I told you so. No, so...
Can I just say one thing?
Oh, go ahead.
I told you so. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Maybe I didn't tell you so.
I've seen the potty bell work so well, but there needs...
For older dogs.
But... No, well, there needs to be some sort of correction involved, which people don't usually do unless they work with a trainer that teaches it that way.
Georgia,
if you don't, it's going to be what he loves this conversation. It's going to be what he always says, which is don't use it. Isn't that right, Sparky?
Yes, but there's more context behind it. It's not that you can't use it. It doesn't teach a dog how to go potty on command, and it doesn't teach bladder control. If you want a dog that rings that bell every hour for the rest of their lives, great. Keep it up and introduce it when they're young. When you teach a dog how to hold their bladder, even if you're not crating, I mean, I know we're big crate sticklers, and we still are, but for us, you could put a dog on a leash, tie him to your hip, and start watching for sniffing every couple hours and take him out for potty. But you're still teaching bladder control. You're still helping him understand. Not as well, because he's not in the crate learning how to hold it longer, but you're still catching it. When they go ring that bell, it's impulse, but it's not impulse control. It's actually ruining your impulse control because whatever whim they want. I want to go potty. I want to go play. I want to have the playpen. I want to go see the bird. I see a squirrel. They alert for everything. Will you balance me out, please? I'm getting a little intense.
No, you're right.
Okay.
I would just say make sure there's no fun to it. So the dog is on leash. You're very matter of fact. Take them out. They get 30 seconds to do what they normally look like they're about to do when they go potty. If they don't, they go back inside.
Yep.
If they keep ringing the bell, here's the thing. We're not potty bell trainers. I mean, I know the concept, and I have a friend who does it successfully and will teach dogs no when they don't do it properly. And maybe that's something you might want to look into because the potty bell can be really great. But removing it for a period of time, working the dog as normal, and then putting it back in when you know they're about to need to potty, and then having them ring it and then taking them out, they pee, putting them back in. You might have to find some tweak that way or just seek out some one-on-one assistance for how to tweak that. But a lot of it's maturity too, like he said.
I had a session with a pitty over the weekend, and he had the best potty bell ring I've ever seen. If you know pitties and how they play with rope toys.
Yeah.
He would walk up to the door calm as ever. He'd pick up that bell, and he would just bam, 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 and slam it into every possible surface. It sounded like a train was crashing next to them. It's awesome. And they said, how do we fix it? And I said, you don't.
It's
this
a
is
toy.
Beautiful.
It's a toy.
It was a toy, and I know I'm making a joke. It's not actually good, but it was because they didn't introduce how to ring the bell. They introduced a little bit too soon. These are the kind of things that will happen, though, if there's not training around the introduction of it. I mean, it comes in that little box, the little DVD inside of it. I just don't think people have DVD players anymore.
Have you watched that DVD?
No, I don't buy potty bells.
Okay. All right,
Are you
guys.
done? You went a long time. You did really good. Are we over?
Yes.
Oh, look at us. All right, guys.
You're so good.
Thanks for making it. Georgia, you were spectacular.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you same time, same place next week.
Thanks for tuning into Ask a Puppy Trainer Show.
We hope you found some advice that you can use to help make puppyhood a little easier.
Don't forget to join us live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time on Instagram or TikTok at The Puppy Academy.
This is where you can get a chance to ask your burning questions in real time. And if you want even more puppy guidance, visit our website at thepuppyacademy.com for info on joining our online puppy school.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving us a review.
These reviews let more people find us and supports us on our mission to help as many puppy parents as possible around the globe.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.